cats, cops, and C4. Right, so just for the sake of my own clarity, how are primals generally regarded legally? Are they citizens? Force majeure? Something else? Chunk asks as Vera goes through a lightning-fast pre-flight check. Force majeure? Linda asks. Legal term, translated directly, it means superior or major force. It's in a lot of contracts in case something totally unexpected happens and forces a contract into being broken. Are the primals a force majeure? Yes and no. The primals both are and are not a massive problem for the laws the galaxy over. While rejuvenating comas make everyone ageless, the primals are proper immortal by comparison, requiring near peerless champions or entire armies to match even their weakest and gentlest members. Not that there's that many of them, though. Still, there have been times when primals have gone up against the law. It rarely ends well for either party. Primals almost always prefer to take the longer view, make the system work for them rather than against them. So finding a primal in the middle of attacking an opposing force is usually a sign that the primal has lost even the pretense of patience with someone. Not easy to do if they have one unifying virtue, it's patience. Look, you need to stop worrying. Rikaxa is a known quantity. It was kind of cute seeing you and Mo don't worry about her, but you can compare her and those like her to a nation. Yes, they're powerful, but they can be dealt with diplomatically. They're not unreasonable. Far from it, a fair portion of the primals are some of the most morally upstanding women the galaxy over. So what's the policy? We treat them as normal. No special treatment unless things go crazy. In this case, once we have a decent grasp on things, we inform Miss Septel about our findings, and if her mother is in the area, we share things with her, with Septel's permission only. Unless she wants the boat rocked, she gets treated as normal. Except we have the knowledge that she's an ancient entity worshipped as a living goddess by her people who has entire star nations on puppet strings, Cenk states. So, bring that fun gun? What was it called? The caster gun? Vera asks and Cenk considers. It would be nice to see how they've iterated on it. It might be even better now, Vera says with a grin. Vera says, it probably is. Cenk concedes. Still, if our standard operating procedure is to treat the primals as normal, then it's likely she knows that. And it's also likely that Rikaxa is being spoken to by someone from the Undaunted even now. You think so? Everything we do is a team effort. It's the difference between one person flailing in the darkness and an army moving as one. We cover for each other, period. Cenk assures them. Hello. The bright and cheery voice of Private Stream greets her as Rikaxa slithers around the corner. She had sensed their frantic and quick movements in the axiom a block away, and knew for a fact that in the next building over the older human was watching, no doubt offering advice to his waving apprentice. The setup of someone friendly greeting from a full cafe table that's weighed down by many of her favorites is classic and appreciated. It would be even more appreciated if she hadn't just had a full meal, but such was the unfortunate truth of the galaxy. Sometimes your timing was off and there was nothing you could do about it. Well, hello, little human. Herbert, isn't it? She asks, and he lets out a laugh. I suppose you've got more senses than I know how to fool, he says as he removes the hat and unbuttons the coat, revealing that he is indeed Herbert, with a targeting visor and an earpiece on his head, as well as body armor and numerous weapons and bits of equipment under the coat. No, but the ones you're working on are far more refined than your disguise can fool, she chides the little human. I suppose this is about what has happened with my daughter Hilga. It is, we're just making sure of everything on every angle. An angry mother can be scary for an untrained normal woman. You, oh boy, Herbert says with a smile that hides the fact she can smell his fear-laced sweat going down his back. You can relax. I have no reason to even be slightly angry at you and yours. After all, you're here to all but beg permission to do me and my daughter a favor. It's adorable, she says with a smile as her lowest left arm plucks up a skewer of slow-roasted landrack. Don't you worry. You see, I've taken the measure of you and yours. If I have issue with the Undaunted, we'll discuss it like adults. And here's a hint. Her piece said she raises the landrack skewer to her mouth and eats it before flicking the empty skewer away like a dart. It lands perfectly in a nearby trash can. Have a nice day. Then she leaves, leaving a confused but relieved little human behind her. At the 10 meters mark, she can hear him take in a sharp breath as her little clue hits him and he takes out a communicator. She smiles. It's always so satisfying to deal with intelligent people. They catch on so very quickly. Even when she's playing, they catch on. It makes her want to play even more. Cenk makes a pensive sound as he reads the text report on his communicator. "What is it?" Linda asks, and he wordlessly hands it to her. "Your people confronted a primal Nagasha? More negotiated. Unless she's deliberately hiding her movements, Lady Rakaxa is trivially easy to find. Get ahead and set a scene where everything is peaceful and open, and you can get someone talking." Apparently it went well, and she's more or less given not only her blessing, but a clue. "The Lanrek?" Linda asked before thinking. Wait, wasn't she? She was looking to gain favor from Miss Big. Even if it wasn't going to work, it implies she knows some way of getting her attention or contacting her. Either one can be used to track the woman down. Cenk says, and Linda nods. Some undercover work is needed. There are some mercenaries that will proactively look for work. We have a few identities that are known in those circles. It should at least get one of Miss Big's girls to show up. Linda says, and he nods. Right, but first the land rack needs to be tracked down, which may be even harder, Cenk says, considering that she's reckless enough to attack when Miss Big won't mean she's easier to bait out at any rate. Linda counters. Hey, we're almost there, starting the docking sequence, Vera says as they approach the landing zone. Cenk turns and activates a view screen next to his seat to look out through the ship's cameras. He prefers this configuration of a ship. No big window, just cameras, sensors, and view screens. The only place on this shuttle with such a thing were the emergency backup of the backup's backup. A little visual slat that you had to crank open by hand with a foot-thick chunk of crystal to serve as glass. The station they're coming to is of a design he does not like. It's fucking open air. Big atmospheric shields that keep the air in, and damn is he glad to have his brand. He also wants a pressure suit, but if you wish in one hand and shit in the other, one hand is getting filled up in short order, and it's not the one you want. Matching shield frequencies. And we're in, Vera says, before their shuttle swoops through the atmosphere it's suddenly in. It doesn't even shudder as they quickly swoop into a designated landing zone and set down. Clean and easy. Now let's go harass some stuffed shirt data pushers so we can get them to tell us what we want. Not exactly what we're here for. Linda chides her, even as Vera rises out of her seat and stretches. Well, you'll probably say it in a nicer way, but we're here in person to put some pressure on them as they look up the serial number for us. After all, it's easy to lie or get distracted on the other end of a text or call, but a lot harder when there are three really dangerous people looking right at you. True, but the intimidation is going unspoken. Let them imagine what kind of weapon I'll pull on them if I get angry. That keeps it legal, Cenk says with a grin. No intimidating the clerks and secretaries, Linda scolds them both. A bit of mild glaring and she huffs before leading them out. It was her that made the appointment after all. Cenk's head tilts straight up as he beholds Centris directly above them. The thin blue sheen of the atmospheric shield just has him staring as he sees the gigantic, above-spire transports moving like tiny ants in the distance. The veins of the world, so huge you could build towns on the individual transport containers. So small he could barely make them out. God damn, why does Centris have to be so much of everything? He asks out loud as the sheer scope of the galaxy hits him again. Normally he just flows with it, but every now and again it's a sucker punch right in the face. He doesn't lose pace as he does this, but he does get a shove from Vera which brings him back down to the here and now. He looks at her and she raises an eyebrow. He gives her a grin and shrugs before gesturing upwards towards Centris. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? He asks. I don't know, you never really think about it. Huh, he says before they enter the building. Lacquered wood, chrome, and crystal flowers are the themes of the entrance. Elegant and bright. A little painful on his eyes, though, but Linda seems unbothered, and Vera hasn't seemingly noticed. Is his missing something? Excuse me, sir, if you could allow the local axiom to move through you, it would help with your eyes, one of the security guards says as she notices his squinting. He gives her an odd look and takes a deep breath and lets everything flow. It feels odd. It's not being used, but it's still in him, still flowing, and not just through the brand or tattoos. It's like standing in a waterfall, but there's no pressure, just the sensation of water moving through him without stopping or slowing down. The sheer brightness fades away, and everything jumps into hyper-clear focus, well beyond what his eyes are normally capable of. A massive axiom effect across the entire building. Damn. There you go. Welcome to Dark Blossom Mystic Emporium, the guard says, and he gives the Alfar woman a bit of a rueful grin. Bit of a non-indicative name. Not really. The crystal dark blossoms enhance both light and darkness. Our founder's family was named for such, and they're a beautiful flower either way. The crystal flowers are organic? Grown in the building? The guard replies, and he blinks a bit. Huh, never seen that before. So you are a human then? Well, there's a lot you haven't seen, human. The galaxy is ancient, enormous, and full of beauty. What did you think I was at first? A sulky tret? She asks, and he snorts in amusement before turning to get back to walking. Linda has already reached one of the secretaries and has placed her badge on the counter between them. Hello, I'm Officer Linda Score, and I'm here to inquire about one of your products. In particular, this one. She says, bringing out her communicator and holding out the image of the teleportation beacon they had recorded Miss Big's snicked enforcer carrying. All right, officer, this will take a little bit. I think it would be best if you three would sit, please, she asks in an uncertain tone. Is something wrong? Linda asks. No, but I've never answered to police before. I'm a little off balance. Think of my like everyone's security guard, and it'll be a lot easier to deal with me, Linda says with a friendly smile. Huh, that does help. Excuse me a bit. I need to tag in an actual data clerk to find the serial number, the secretary says, and Linda nods before stepping back a bit. There's a sudden alert on her and Chenk's communicator that startles the secretary a little, and Chenk pulls his out and examines it. Please don't read the message that just came up on that, Chenk says, even as Linda takes her communicator back and dismisses the message so that it doesn't get read. Someone's been having trouble with a Lanrak? The secretary asks Suggs. Something like that. Don't worry about it, Chunk says, and she nods in response.